Joe, a lot of storylines have been hitting over the last, let's just say 4 or 5 days. Obviously, the sport is changing very rapidly and very quickly. Even so much so, okay, this was a part of my worry when we did, not getting into it, but we did talk about the Tennessee versus NCAA thing. I think, Joe, with the radios and helmets, completely fine with it. We have the technology. You have the NFL to go off of. Nothing bad has happened in doing that. The problem I have is now that they're going to enact a 2-minute warning. Joe, no fan has been saying the games were too long. Nobody has been saying that they don't like tempo offenses and the big cards that people hold up during the games, like Josh Heupel in Tennessee or Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. But they added a 2-minute warning where I don't necessarily mind a 2-minute warning. It doesn't bother me none. Okay, it's 2-minute, whatever. You told me last year that you were going to do a running clock to make the game shorter, only for you to add two-minute warnings for 10 minutes worth of timeout, which is ad revenue that you get. Stop telling me that this is about safety or anything else. Joe, they are trying to make college football into the NFL. Bottom line, that is just what is going on.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you on that. The helmet stuff, with the radios, it makes perfect sense. We talked about how much of an advancement that is going to be, but I'm kind of dumbfounded that this was snuck in there. Like, this was just randomly thrown in there at the end. Oh, by the way, we're adding a 2-minute warning. The fact that there wasn't a 2-minute warning and the clock stopping with the ball going out of bounds, all that stuff.
Right.
Removing that from the college game is inherently removing an important aspect of the college version of football. Like, that is what makes it inherently so different from the NFL. And I know we spend a lot of time, and a lot of college football fans talk about, well, if we take certain things out of the game, we change certain things, it's changing the integrity of the game, like NIL, all that stuff. But something like this, like, why was this necessary? This was completely unnecessary. It is, as you're talking about, trying to professionalize it more. And yeah, they probably analyzed it and they probably were thinking, well, we could get X more amount of ad dollars if we add these breaks, these deliberate breaks into the game, so we can stop it and we can send it to commercial.
1,000%. And Joe, we do not have to be, for what it's worth, we do not have to be what the NFL is. And I say we, meaning college football enthusiasts, people that love college football more than the NFL. Now, maybe you do. I think you love college more. Clearly you do. But we don't have to be what the NFL is. Like, and here's the ultimate problem that I tried to warn everybody on, that nobody would – I'm not going to say nobody listened, because I got a lot of reception that agreed with this sentiment. But I also got a lot of pushback, okay, from you included on some of it, but not all of it. It is what it is. Joe, I just don't know where we're going in this sport. I legitimately am. I'm not worried, because from a financial standpoint, schools are going to be making more money. Players are going to be making more money. The money problem isn't the issue. But if you continue to tinker with things that fans are just like, hey, man, like, what are we doing? It's aggravating. Okay, you will draw away some people. Okay, like, hey, man, it's just a professional league. It is what it is. I mean, I'm going to still watch. A lot of people are still going to watch. But I just don't know what leader in the clubhouse in all of this are wanting to make these rules. And it's why I think, and look, I'm going to use him as an example, but I'm not criticizing him, because I think he's doing what he's told. Ross Dellinger, Dan Wenzel, Matt Zenitz, whoever it is breaking these news stories, Pete Thamel, I don't care who it is. They always start with rule changes in college football. Leaders advise me. Well, stop saying leaders. You're not reporting the facts then. Okay, you're not. Who is the leaders? Tell me who is running these. Is Tony Patini and Greg Sankey, did they sign off on a 2-minute warning? If they signed off on a 2-minute warning, I want to know. And that's why when we get to SEC Media Days or Big Ten Media Days and these questions aren't asked, it's a joke. Like, Greg Sankey, do you believe that 14 teams should be in a playoff? It's a joke. It's funny, Joe. commissioners have and people, administrators, coaches have talked about NIL being an issue. How can you tell a kid what he can and can't do with his own money and start getting paid millions when you're out here doing the same damn thing, you freaking hypocrites?
Well, that really feeds into a very much more complex argument.
It
and
is
I'm sure that we're going
to. Wouldn't you
we're
agree
gonna,
that it is the argument?
Yeah, no, it is. And this is something that we're probably going to touch on when we talk about the Tennessee NIL thing. I don't really see anywhere where I don't have common ground with you. The only thing I pushed back on that you said earlier, I don't think this really necessarily is going to turn anyone away from the game, because at the end of the day, the reason why people watch college football, not everybody is like we are, where we like to watch all of the games and we just love national college football. Like us and the listeners of the show, they love that. But I think for the most part, most college football fans, they're obsessed with the regionality and the schools that they went to, the schools that are down the road from them, all that stuff, the states that they live in that don't have pro teams. So I think at the end of the day, we're not going to lose anybody because it's becoming more like the NFL, just because there's, guys getting paid.
No, you're
and
not
there's
going to lose
warnings.
us. You're going to lose the people that are on the fringe or just, hey, I'm just a fan.
I would actually kind of push back slightly. I think it's going to be making the closer it is to the NFL. The reason why they're doing this is not only for the ad dollars, but so that they can also attract more casual fans to watch the games. They want people to just randomly decide to watch their alma mater when they originally didn't care before. That's why they're doing all this. That's the biggest reason why expanded playoff, all that stuff, is because they want more people to watch more compelling content.
Joe, look, we're going to have to continue to go through this until everything is broken down and then we have firm structure. I mean, like let me just say it like this. And I think this is the most clippable thing that we'll say all night. Joe, to me, the college football that I grew up with, that you grew up with, is no longer. The teams are the same. There's some of the traditions of what you do is the same. There are things that are still true, that are still there, and they're never going to leave. But the college football that you and I grew up on is no longer. And I'm not talking about NIL. I'm not talking about the transfer portal. Those are two completely separate things. What I am talking about is the direction and the leaders and where they're pushing college football to be. And I do think that there is some worry behind it because, listen, like why can't they say who is making the decisions? That is the biggest problem that I have.
Well, isn't it the competition committee, or am I just making an assumption?
Yeah, but who's on the competition committee?
That's actually a good point. I have no idea how to find that out.
So, I don't either. And believe me, I've tried. So it just comes to a place and comes to a part where, Joe, you talked about this earlier in the show, that there's a good chance that we might have 2 super leagues.
Oh, wait. I think I found it. Okay, the Division I Competition Oversight Committee. These are the current people. AD of South Florida, Associate Commissioner of the Southeastern Conference, the Sun Belt Commissioner, Deputy Commissioner, TCU.
Are they naming names?
Yeah, Michael Kelly of USF,
Okay.
Tiffany Daniels of the SEC. I mean, it's a bunch of really yes. There's a bunch of random schools on here, like Delaware State Athletic Director.
What's Delaware FCS school?
Fairleigh Dickinson Athletic Director, which this is listed them as an FCS. They are not an FCS program.
So we have Rudy Poos deciding these things.
I mean, this almost feels like this is just made up. This feels like I'm obviously speaking like I sound like an asshole when I say that, but like the St. John's Athletic Director, they don't have football.
Oh my God.
Why are they? I didn't even know that the American University Athletic Director, none of these schools have football. There aren't any leading commissioners or athletic directors at major programs that are on this. They're all associate athletic directors or ADs at small programs that don't have football. St. Louis University Deputy Director of Athletics is on this oversight committee. Portland State is football.
What a joke. What an outright joke. Anything since Friday that has that you've seen that you want to touch on? What do you think about let me ask you this. What do you think about the radios and the helmets being finalized?
I felt like that was inevitable with everything that went down. Not really surprised or shocked by that at all, because again, we spent so much time talking about the importance of it for alleviating a lot of the issues in the games. But BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.